GiGi!
Здравствуйте, меня зовут GiGi Marx. Hello, my name is GiGi Marx. I studied Russian, and I'm also a sexy flamenco impersonator. We're going to be talking about Russian avant-garde cinema, which is the period of cinema that is during the 1920s, ending with the influx of Stalin. So the first cinema that we have as we know it is by Auguste and Louis Lumiere. They premiered their first films on March 28, 1895, for about 200 people in Paris. You can see behind me what their films were like. They were taken from one spot, and they ran for about 50 seconds, and they had no editing. These films would tour. They would bring the technology with them, and it was really revolutionary around the world to places such as Canada, Buenos Aires, Bombay, and Cairo. One of the early types of film that started is the trick film. Here you can see an image from one of the most famous trick films by Georges Méliès, The Journey to the Moon. Influenced by Jules Verne, we have more editing and transition as well as special effects. That is typical of early Tsarist cinema. Here we have cinemas that are like plays. They're very lush, they have a lot of editing and a lot of drama. And this is actually based off of a Pushkin novel, who's a very famous Russian author. Cinema and the Revolution. All right, Revolution comes around and they want a lot of propaganda to spread the idea. Cinema steps in for that, but it only really works in the urban context where there's a lot of people. It also creates a scarcity of footage for developing film. So what is the avant-garde? The avant-garde is a term that's used for an art movement that actually predates the Russian Revolution, but was adopted by Lenin to talk about the forerunners of culture during the Soviet period. Lenin said that film for us is the most important of arts. He had a lot of ideas on film, and he thought that it was a great way to spread cultural continuity and basically be propaganda. He also wanted it as an educational tool for the masses. So Sergei Eisenstein, one of the most famous film directors, is known for his narrative films as well as his great use of film theory. He wrote tons of books, namely film form. He's most known for cinema of attraction, which is the idea. You can see Buster Keaton behind me displaying what the cinema of attraction is, or you will eventually. But it's the idea that you have to produce an emotional effect beyond the trick film that just wows, but create like a physical effect in your audience. He's also known for montage. This is called the Kuleshov experiment, where if you put different things between shots of a person, you get different types of feels. You can see the 5 different types of montages according to Eisenstein on this slide. Battleship Potemkin, one of the most famous of his films, is a great example of these different types of montage. Here's the Odessa step sequence, which has been echoed in a lot of films. And you know how that woman was banging her head at the beginning, and then you have this very chaotic movement down the steps. That's an idea of intellectual montage with the juxtaposition of 2 different images to give an emotional and intellectual idea. Also, the rhythm of the shots, rhythmic montage, creates an internal feeling of chaos. Another director that we have who is very famous and influential during this period is Dziga Vertov. He's known for his non-narrative films, most widely known for The Man with the Movie Camera. He also created his films with a ton of found footage. So The Man with the Movie Camera, this is a slide from one of those, he tried to really adopt the idea of the mechanical man. And this is a Soviet idea that overarched a lot of their politics, that you want to be more perfect through the introduction of machinery. And he talked about it a lot in his 2 different publications, Kino Glas, or the Camera Eye, and Kino Pravda, which is Camera Truth. Okay, 1/6 of the World is one of his films that uses a lot of found footage. It's about the Soviet Union as a whole and was used as an educational tool. However, because of ideas about who is good in the Soviet Union, it's slightly racist now, and a lot of people are, like if you see a Mongol, they're always with animals, and like the white Russians are always with machines, so therefore in the Soviet hierarchy, the white Russians with machines are better. So, Stalin comes around after Lenin dies, and he basically kills all the avant-garde, because he's like, I want propaganda that makes me look good. Impact of the avant-garde today, that beyond having an effect on Russian politics and life within Russia, Have you guys seen The Good, Bad, and the Ugly? I know my dad has. So that scene at the shootout at the end where they're all like looking at each other and inching towards the gun and taking away from the gun and the camera spins, that's a really good example of how Russian cinema has affected modern cinema, because nothing is happening in that scene, but you get an extreme emotional reaction. Thank you.